In this video, I'll be checking out a 4K fully integrated plug and play camera from FITCAMX. Now, if you're a regular to this channel, you will have seen me install a FITCAMX in my Golf Mark 7. However, with a new car comes a new camera. So today I'll be going through the install of the FITCAMX in a Cupra Born. You get all the cables you need, plus the camera. So there's a lot to like with the FITCAMX. Let's check out what comes inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a user manual to tell you how to install the camera. There is a caution specifically for this model that I'll go over later in this video. You get a support card should you have any issues of the installation or operation of the dash cam. You get the dash cam unit itself. Then there is the bridging cable for the rain sensor in the car. And you also get an SD card and a micro SD card reader to USB A and C should you wish to export any video without using its mobile app. And finally, you get a prying tool, which you will need to use to remove the existing housing in order to install the dash cam. And also in this video, I'll be going over the optional extra, which is the FITCAM polarizing lens. And it's mainly used to reduce reflections and enhance license plate reading in the recorded footage. Okay, so looking over the camera then, it's a little bit different to my FITCAM in the Golf. Obviously, it's got to fit a different housing that the rain sensor is located into the windscreen. This all basically is inside here, and the camera module is just an additional extra bulk to the actual sensor itself. Now, once this is installed onto the main windscreen, it will look pretty much OEM. You have a small little cutout here that you can unclip to get it around the rear view mirror, and then you insert that at the very end. The camera itself is all front and center. It's currently covered, and I'll keep that covered during the install. Some passive cooling grills to keep the processor inside cool, especially in hot climates. You've got some LED status indicator lights at the top there, and then you've got a camera shutter button, and the one that's nearest to the mirror is going to be the power button to turn the camera on and off. On the side here, we do have a SD card pre-installed. It is 64 gig and it's branded as FITCAMX. We have some clipping points on the inside here and at the back to help everything get all attached. And here's the main power cable that's going to connect to the bridging cable like that. And then this basically connects to the rain sensor in the car. And then the existing cable for the rain sensor goes into the female port here. So it's pretty plug and play. Probably the longest part of the install is going to be removing the casing and the cable. But once those two are removed, everything should be pretty much a home run. Now this comes in 3 additional options. You can either go for the front-facing camera, which I've got here, without the rear camera, or you've got one that comes with the rear camera and 64 gig card, or you've got the one that comes with the rear camera and 128 gig memory card. Now, considering the ID.3 and the Cupra Born comes with a rear facing camera anyway, if you're using it for reversing purposes, you don't really need that rear camera. But if you do want continuous recording of the rear of the car, then that option's available to you should you want to do that. Now, me personally, my car's a lease car, so I don't want to run cabling through the car interior. This is as worse as it gets for me anyway. Being a lease car, I don't want to break anything in the car itself, specifically the installation clips and the cable. That's the 2 things that worry me at the moment. So I'm a little nervous on this install, but I've got it. They've supplied it. I need it, and let's give it a go. So that's a quick overview of the camera. Let's jump in the Born now and get this thing installed. So I'll see you there. Right, so we're in the Born and we've got the FITCAMX for the ID.3/Cupra Born. Before we begin, we must ensure that the vehicle is off, which is very difficult to do, and they do give you a caution warning to do the whole install in the passenger seat because the Cupra Born and the ID.3 turns on when you first sit in it. So doing the whole install in the passenger seat does remove that from happening. They also do tell you to keep the key away from the car. I don't have keyless entry, so that is probably a benefit of doing that. But if you do have keyless entry, maybe you do have to have that key quite far away from the car so the car doesn't actually enable itself and turn itself on. First thing we need to do is take the existing housing off. With the prying tool, we're going to first take off the housing. So we go into some clips here. We've got a very small amount of space here. There's a little bit of blackness. So we're going to pull down there you go. And that releases the 2 at the bottom. Next, we need to pull those 2. There's some clips at the back here. We've pulled those down. Now we need to pull this section here away from this section here. So I'm going to hold this top section and try and pull that section down. I'm going to bring this mirror down so it's got a bit more room to breathe, but it feels like there's a lot more to come from this section. Right, it feels very loose there. Oh, this is tricky. Okay, there's clips here as well. I'll keep that. Okay, that's one out. Whew. So it's got like vertical clips. There you go. Right. Okay, so here's the original plate. You've got two clips at the back here, two at the side. These are the ones that are really easy to unclip. This one's a little bit lower, the one that's on the driver's side, if we're in the UK, than this one. It's a little bit lower. But prying this area here, either side of that black rim edge, remove this no problem. This is the harder bit because you've got two clips here that you need to pull away from, but also these little sort of sides are going into two sections, so they need to pull that down. I think loosening this section here a little bit helped. That's now kind of like snapped back into place, and now we can see all the necessary wiring for the actual main cable. Now, well, that's the backing plate that we need to keep together. We're not really going to reuse that, so slot that back into place. We won't be using the original one. Whew, that was the first wiring bit over with. We're going to change this camera position now so you can see up at the cables. Right, so frustratingly, I'm not in the passenger seat for this next bit because basically it's on the right hand side, so it's a little bit harder to get at the particular cable to pull that cable out. So the cable we want to remove apparently is this one here that connects to this module here. That's the rain sensor power, and this is the little part here. Now, the way they tell you to remove that cable successfully without pulling everything away is to basically, you can't be pulling down at it, it's going to pull the cables, so you need to sort of make sure it's flush as it comes away from that cable. And to do that, you've meant to pull down on the slack and pull up here and pull that way to get that little clip out from its point. There you go, like that. So with that leverage, that then pulls that cable off, and that's what we're going to connect to for power. Okay, now that we've got that cable now removed, we can now go with our cable. This is the cable here that we're going to now connect the existing sensor to that port. That connects in like that. This one then connects this. If you can, feed that back in. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. But we need to feed that other one into the existing rain sensor port. So hopefully you can see that. So the end of the cable, the bridge cable, has gone back into that sensor port. We've taken the existing rain sensor, connected it to the female, make sure it all clicks together, and then that leaves this little cable here that we've got to plug into the FITCAMX. We're going to take off the bridging mirror clip here from the back, make sure that's removed, and then we're going to attach the cable. It can only go one way, it's got like a little ridge to it, so we're going to connect those up together, click that into place, and that's now the camera module pretty much done. That's all the hard bit done, really. The rest of it is all going to be putting it all back together again. But before we do that, let's get this all powered up first, and let's make sure that the camera is working as intended. Okay, so I'm back in the driver's seat now. Once everything's all connected, you should be able to grab your key or just literally sit in the driver's seat because everything's all connected, so you shouldn't get any errors. I'm going to depress the brake now, and we can just make sure that the actual FITCAMX is lit up, which it is. I've already sat in the driver's seat. The car's already started. There is a blue LED there that's telling us that it's powered. It's flashing a blue little light with a solid red on the LED. We can probably press the power button, and now the blue light is now solid. Again, I'm not quite sure what that means, so I'm going to let that dangle for a second, and then I'm going to go into my phone and download the FITCAMX app. So I'm going to go to the App Store and download the FITCAMX app. That's now downloading. We can open that up. We're going to need to add a camera. We need to connect to the Wi-Fi of that camera. We've got car cam here, so I'm going to tap on that and join, and we probably will need to turn our wireless CarPlay off first. I'm also going to go into the Bluetooth settings and turn off CarPlay. Then we're going to go back into the Wi-Fi and let's join this camera, which we don't have a password for it. I'm going to check out what that password might be. Okay, it's 1 to 8, so nice and safe. Right, so we're connected to the camera's Wi-Fi now. We can go back to the FITCAMX app. Connection successful, and now that's the camera. It's a little bit blue because I've got the sticker on it still, so let's take that off. That's the sticker removed, and now we've got a better feed of the feed ahead, and we're already recording, as we can see here. Everything looks good, so I'm gonna now basically do the whole motion of putting this camera housing back together again, and then we'll return to the app afterwards. Right, so we're going to tuck some of this cabling. There's not really much space to tuck all this stuff back. There's a little bit of room up in this cavity here that we might try and pass that connection back into. And then here, this could pretty much go anywhere, but I'm going to coil it over the camera section because there's a lot more cavity here. And we're going to then make sure these pins align. There's 2 pins on either side. You need to make sure that they align with the plastic. That looks like it's going to. And there we go. I reckon that's in. There's very little gaps along the top here. I would say that's all clipped in. FITCAMX branding for a UK side. It's a bit annoying that that's on that side, but I quite like it that you've got more easiness of control for the right hand drive, because if you're on a left hand drive, this module will be further away from you, and I quite like that it's a little bit nearer to me. It's not sticking out too much, although it probably would be preferred if it was in the middle or maybe on the other side, but the majority of drivers are going to be on the left hand side of the car, so they've got to basically make it suit that. So that's the installation done. Looks pretty good to me. If I just zoom out here, it's not, that's my sort of driving head, so it does come down a little bit from the mirror, because obviously that little bump wouldn't actually be there on the stock non-dash cam version. And you could have a dash cam up here, or up here, but you will have to worry about how you're going to power it. This is a really nice way to have it all pretty much OEM, and I think that looks good to me. What do you reckon? Let us know in the comments what you think about this install. And I'll just show it from the outside as well. Right, so we're going to reconnect to the Wi-Fi, and then we're going to reconnect in the app again. So that's us reconnected to the car camera. Now you can see some reflection on the camera itself. This has got a 3M adhesive on the polarizer. There is a line that you can probably see across the top, and it means you can rotate the lens inside to rotate the polarizing portion of the lens. Now, if I play this video clip back, you can see here there's a line that goes all the way along. If I position the polarizing lens over, and we can rotate it slightly, and you can see it does a better job whilst it's being rotated. That reflection from the dash is pretty much near gone. So if we remove it, you can see the dash is there again. So you can see, just for an extra £20, that's definitely worth considering, I think. I'm going to unstick this and put this over. So we're going to take this 3M adhesive off, very sticky. So that's the 3M adhesive off. Right, so I've got all that bit stuck on. I've also dived into the passenger side and fitted the backing plate that goes behind the rear view mirror. So that completes the whole installation of the casing around the existing framework and the cables. So I've just stuck on the polarizer, nice and easy. It does stick out the bottom of the lens a bit, but I can't see it in my viewpoint. It's better to have it bigger rather than barely touching the sides, because it might create like a tunnel vision in the actual lens itself, but you don't see it at all. And I've rotated it slightly, so you can now see that the quality, that reflection is completely gone from the dashboard. So I definitely recommend adding that as an additional option to remove that glare. So we're back in here. We've removed that glare from the bottom of that lens, and I could rotate it just to show you. You can see that glare coming back in. and if I rotate it back the same the other way, that then gets rid of that glare. It starts to come back again. So you have to find a bit of a happy medium between the two, but that's going to help remove any glare from the actual dashboard itself. So the quality looks quite good, at least on the mobile. In the application itself, we can tap this button on the side to flip the camera backwards and forwards should we need to do that. You only need to do it on the rear view camera really. We've got the microphone, which we can now turn on. The microphone it's off by default, but now the camera should now be recording with audio. We've got two buttons on the top, and in the middle here we can actually pause recording. We can also take a snapshot, and that's the quality of the snapshot that you're seeing. There's a button to rotate the display, so you can have full screen view, and we can tap the top left button to rotate back. And then the more important bit is the camera settings. So the bottom right hand corner, we can go in here. Oddly, sound recording is still off, so we're going to turn that back on. We can change resolution between full 4K and slightly less. We're going to keep it at 4K. I prefer longer recordings, so you've got less files to download. So I'm going to change that to 3. Unfortunately, there's no 5. 5 would be a better option, I think. We've got timestamp is on, the overlaid onto the video. We've got collision sensor, so we can make that between least, medium, and most sensitive. We'll go with the medium for now. So if there was a bump or an actual collision, it would save that as an event video rather than on the loop recording roll. So it'll push that to a side and it won't get overwritten. Camera language, we're going to change it to English. Parking, monitoring, collision detection. Says not all models will have that option. We can set that to medium, see what it does. I have a feeling that this model won't actually have that option. We've got the Wi-Fi name. I'm going to change that now actually to FITCAMX. So that's now going to reboot. Let's go back into settings. It's all kept all my settings. We're going to keep the password as it is. You can check the firmware version. There's no updates at the moment. We don't want to format the camera and we don't want to do a factory reset. So that's basically all you can do. And then finally, we can go to camera files. It's probably going to stop recording now so that we can look back at the various recordings that we've done so far. So it started all the way from it's going back in time, but also ahead of time because it didn't get the date until then. But now it's taken the date from the app connection and it's now populated it there. Got a little bit confused at these ones at the bottom here, but that's not the end of the world. I think that's when we started to connect the camera. You can see here that that's me still installing it, the lens. And go back to the latest version. That's a recent video. We've got a snapshot here. That's the camera shot. We've got a bump camera bit when we've done an install because of the sensitivity, and we've got parking mode here as well. And you can select these options and then you can actually download them to your phone, which might take a while depending on the resolution that you're using and the loop length between 1 and 3 minutes. I'll put that down below what those file sizes would be. This is an album where it's actually downloaded those files to the album, and then from there you can put them into your camera roll. You've got app settings, which is just language. Going to jump back into the camera again. It's continued recording, no problem. That's good. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to now take this out and use it for at least a couple of days, show you some daylight footage, show you some nighttime footage. And if it's anything like my previous FitCam, it's actually quite a decent camera. Not the best, but it is high up there. And I'm sure since the last install of the FitCam, the technology has improved slightly. But on the phone, it looks nice and clear and crisp. You'll see with those footage, which obviously is now downscaled to 1080p of this video. And I'll put some stats in there, whether it's 60 FPS or 30 FPS, etc. And that's it, nice and installed. It didn't take me that long. As you saw, the installation of the actual housing and getting that cable out was the most worrying thing for me. But the casing did come off eventually and is actually quite good once you know where those clips are. And I hope that video section has been helpful for anyone considering of doing this install. The little finishing clip behind the mirror, that fits all nice and perfectly as well once you've completed, and now finishes the whole look, even though you can't really see it, but the passenger might see that gaping hole if you didn't put that panel back on. And it doesn't protrude too much, I feel. No more than what it would do with a separate dash cam. Now, unlike many other dash cams in the Cupra Born or any other solutions, this doesn't have to use the fuse box. There's no wiring through bulkheads or interiors. We just literally have to do one simple disconnect of the rain sensor cable and the housing itself. So it's very easy and a lot more quicker than doing a fuse box method. Also, there's no 12-volt adapter in the front cabin. You don't want to use the USB-C port. That will also mean that you've got more cables running through the car interior.
This is a lot more quicker and a lot more minimal to the car itself, especially good if you're leasing the car, for example. The video quality is good quality, both in night and day. I definitely would recommend the Poloaiser just for 20 quid more. That's definitely worth doing, and it gets rid of that glare from the dash as well as evening lights. So overall, very happy with that. So if you are considering an install in your Born or ID.3, definitely check out this camera from FITCAMX. So the model you're currently seeing me install today currently retails for £137 or $168 directly from the FITCAMX store. And I'll leave links down to this particular model below so you can learn more about this camera and buy yourself one for your Cupra Born or ID.3. They also do sell integrated cameras for all other car models. So if you are watching this video just to see the general quality, you'll be able to get that same quality with a new surround housing that fits with your rain sensor in your own car as well. And they do have support for a lot of other vehicles from Audi, BMW, Chrysler, Ford, GMC, Hyundai, Honda, Jeep, Kia, Lexus, Mazda, Mini, Porsche, Renault, Rolls-Royce, Subaru, and so on. And I just noticed they do have a dedicated Cupra section now. They didn't before, but it is basically the ID.3 model anyway. All right, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, leave us a thumbs up down below and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this particular FITCAMX install in the Cupra Born, and I'll try my best to answer them for you. You can give us a super thanks along with your comment or question, or buy me a coffee if you found this helpful. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.